Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of
Fantasy football. Oh, no.
A little hiatus, and I still nailed that intro.
It was
So for
good. It was
anybody,
good.
for the people who've been listening to us, me and Brandon had a hiatus going. My webcam, for whatever reason, wasn't working out, so somehow got that fixed randomly from Magic, and now we're back on just in time for the start of the NFL season. Brandon, how you doing, buddy? Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, I'm doing good. You can find me on Twitter at HeyB3. Writing stuff at DLF. I have finally returned to the league winners. Tom finally talked me into it. So you can see, I'm going to be doing weekly Sleeper articles and also articles for Sleeper, the platform. So check that out. Great things coming for league winners.
Oh, yeah. If you can read that bottom banner down below, we are now partnered with Sleeper app. Use the code FFLW on your first time deposit for Sleeper picks or squads, and Sleeper will match that up to $100. And as always, I'm Thomas, CP_NFL. On Twitter, you can find me at GangGreenNation, JetsXFactor, and now it's going to be the Jet Press. I've hit the trio of New York Jets sites. So, Brandon, it's been a lot of stuff has happened since the last time we've talked. So let's try to get some stuff out of the way now. The Trey Lance got traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a day 3 pick. How do you feel about that situation? I know a lot of people are bashing the 49ers. What's your take on it?
So I want to say a couple things about it. First of all, I was shocked when it was the Cowboys, but does seem like a Jerry Jones type thing to do. I guess it somewhat makes sense if Dak gets injured, but with how Greer was playing, I probably wouldn't have given up that pick and just had him as the backup. So it kind of surprised me with the Cowboys. And on the Trey Lance side, I don't think this helps Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance needs to play actual games, and he needed. I thought Tampa Bay should have done it. They don't have anything at quarterback. This is pretty much a wash for them. As a year, they could have played Trey Lance, and they had some weapons and let him learn, and then they might have their quarterback in the future. Now, as far as the 49ers, I've seen all this on Twitter, blaming the 49ers and everything. Yeah, it didn't work out. They should have traded all those picks up, or if they traded all those picks up, they should have drafted Justin Fields. Justin Fields in that offense would have been crazy, and he was ready to go in that offense. But people blaming Shanahan. They were going to let Trey Lance do it last year. Trey Lance was always going to be a project. I saw something on Twitter the other day where they're talking about from scouts and GMs, and pretty much all of them said he has the potential, but his accuracy isn't great. It's going to be a project. And then I've seen some people say, well, what did you expect when Shanahan is using Trey Lance like a running back, and everything? I was like, that's what mobile quarterbacks do now. I mean, that's what Lamar Jackson does. That's what Justin Fields does and everything. And that was part of the reason they got him, because he's more mobile than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, right. And I've seen practice videos. I saw one where he threw it past the Kittle way too high, and then Kittle had to tell him, I don't know if you've seen this, Kittle had to pretty much tell him, down here, not up here, down here. And I know all the 49ers are trying to, help him, but I mean, I have nothing against Trey Lance. It's just like, it's not his fault he got drafted that high. Just this team is ready-made to win, especially after they traded for Christian McCaffrey. And it was unfortunate how he played, or that he got hurt last year. But both needed to split up, and I don't know. I think people are just. I didn't realize that everyone on Twitter is the biggest Trey Lance fan, and that they need to support their boy and everything. No one was talking about Trey Lance before this, so I think it's just a vast overreaction.
I tend to agree. I mean, so I'm a Jets fan, obviously. I write for the Jets, everything. So I had to deal with this with Zach Wilson, except it's like the opposite. Like we saw Zach Wilson play maybe too early, too much with a bad team. and he wasn't ready for it. Trey Lance is kind of the other end where he's on a team that's already set to play, set to win, set to compete for a championship, and he's the piece holding them back. So I never saw anybody, say Zach Wilson. I never saw Zach Wilson get the kind of treatment that Trey Lance is getting right now, at least by the media. And it's kind of weird because I think it's about how good San Francisco is and Kyle Shanahan is. Like we saw him able to put together a very competitive team despite all the injuries that they had at quarterback last season. And it's funny now we're seeing all these like reports coming out about how inaccurate Trey Lance was, like for scouts during the draft and all that. And I'm like, dude, that's been there the whole time. Like, how do you miss that? The guy's played. We looked up before. It's like 27 games since 2018. That's how many total games he's played since 2018. That alone should tell people that he's a project. Be ready. I didn't think he was ready at all. But I think it's kind of laughable the way people are like bashing the 49ers there. People make mistakes in draft picks. It is what it is. They did trade up to get him. Miami ends up looking like, thieves with the trades that ended up happening there. But at the same time, the 49ers are still a team that's competing for a Super Bowl this season. So is there a trade-off? I mean, I'll still take that at the end of the day. My question to you is, do you think that Lance going to the Cowboys, do you think the Cowboys have confidence in Dak Prescott being the guy going forward? Or do you think this is kind of a move where they want to usher in Trey Lance if they can't work out a contract with Dak?
I don't know because it's kind of the same thing with the Cowboys. They're pretty ready made. They just need Dak to play consistently, not get hurt, and perform in the playoffs. And you're wasting everything this team has if, let's say, after this year they want to try to move on from Dak, and move and continue with Trey Lance. I mean, I think you're pretty much wasting this defense, wasting CeeDee Lamb, wasting Brandon Cooks, wasting Tony Pollard. They already wasted that offensive line for how long because, a lot of them got hurt. So I don't know. I think this is your typical Jerry Jones splash move that is going to backfire on them.
Yeah, so do you think Dak Prescott is the future of the Cowboys?
I think we'll find out this year. He needs another healthy year. I don't know. He can play really well, and then I don't know if this rumor was substantiated when I saw a rumor that Amari Cooper called him the Black Kirk Cousins. I don't think he probably said that, but I mean it's not false. I mean, put us up a lot of stats. Wins a lot of games, but when it comes to playoff time, like they should have beat was it last year they lost to the 49ers or was it 2 years ago?
I think it was last year because
Either
didn't
way,
Dallas beat Tampa Bay and then had to play them.
yes. So anyway, they should have they laid a total egg against 49ers. And I mean Dak hasn't really won that many playoff games and I think he's a good quarterback, but there was a reason he lasted as long as he did in the draft. I mean, coming out of college. It's kind of where you have a good if you have a good quarterback and he can't bring you towards a Super Bowl, do you just keep on plugging away and hoping it works, or do you blow it up and then it might like fall apart? So it's kind of like they're kind of in the in between. I guess he's wasn't successful, but I guess that's what the Raiders thought with Derek Carr, even though I think they probably should have run it back another year with him. But yeah, it's kind of they have a ready-made team, and Dak just needs to not screw up in the playoffs. He just needs to get people the ball without throwing interceptions.
So it's kind of funny. I saw that they had Prescott call the plays for that last preseason game, and going through Twitter circles, they were kind of bringing similarities between Prescott and Tony Romo, and I thought those I think they're fairly similar quarterbacks too. In a lot of ways, they're very cerebral, but a lot of stuff in their actual physical game holds them back from being like an elite quarterback. You know what I mean? Like Romo had a lot of makeup to make like great fourth quarter comebacks and all that stuff. He was running for his life behind that shitty offensive line, but there were a lot of things that stopped him from being like an elite guy too. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in Prescott, but on a different like a different area. I think you're right. I think this is like a make or break year. I don't know if the Cowboys are sold on him though. Jerry, I feel like the older he gets, the more fucking splashy shit he wants to try to do on his way out to, make his stamp on the league again, kind of a thing before he's too old to remember. So we'll see how that is. Steven, though, like his son has been making some pretty good like moves for the franchise. I still don't know what they're doing at running back. Do you think they bring in like Kareem Hunt, or do you think they really go Malik Davis as RB2? Like, I don't know if Pollard's a workhorse.
I don't know either, but I was skeptical, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let Deuce Vaughn get a lot of run. He's looked pretty good in preseason. I know he's smaller, but maybe they just might have a bunch of like, because people are talking about like, since Zeke's not going back there, how Tony Pollard is going to be like this top 5 running back. Okay, I actually, with someone on Reddit, I got in a conversation with. So they were like, at whatever turn of the first round, would you take Stephon Diggs or Tony Pollard? And I said Stephon Diggs easy for me. And then someone kind of went crazy. It was like, I don't think it's that easy, with Pollard. But first of all, we don't know if Pollard can take that whole, workhorse load. And I mean, and since they brought in Cooks and still have Gallup and CD, I mean, they might just let Dak let it loose more. And they're not going to be this ground and pound team like they were before, which might be bad for them. I don't know. Depends on how you feel about Dak, I guess.
It's weird because like as much as I like Pollard too, the guy's coming off a broken leg. I don't know if running him into the ground is gonna be as he's a smaller guy too. He's not Zeke build even when Zeke was a rookie kind of build. He's not like a guy that I think can carry more than 300 touches. I just don't for whatever reason. Maybe they do use Vaughn or maybe they sign somebody else down the road, but I think the first few weeks will really decide what Dallas intends to do there. So actually, I wanted to get your opinion on this because, obviously I'm a Jets fan. And now Aaron Rodgers is a member of the Jets. We saw him play against the New York Giants in his first little preseason outing. He looked pretty good. 5 for 8, threw a touchdown to Garrett Wilson, which that touchdown was filthy. I don't know if you saw the replay of that.
Oh, I saw it. But I mean, it was a really good pass by Rodgers. I don't think people, at least the announcers, were giving Garrett Wilson enough credit for that catch.
Oh, for sure. You have to hide that you're going to catch that ball until the last possible second. That's so hard to do. I'm telling you,
Garrett Wilson is good. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be amazing this year as long as that offense stays right. I think he could like outperform his ADP. Like I could see him being a top 5 receiver.
That's my ceiling for him. Just the stuff that everybody's been saying, even Devontae Adams thinks that Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson are going to be like elite this season. Boomer Esiason just has Aaron Rodgers like over under at like 47 touchdown passes. And he thinks Garrett Wilson's going to get a lot. I know that's high. But still, like, I think that speaks more of Garrett Wilson than of Rodgers. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are like really seeing the talent that the kid has. He's a stud, man. Like he gets open, he gets the contested catches. He's a great yak guy too. The kid he reminds me of like, I don't want to say like a better Devontae, but he has a very similar style. I was seeing clips of Rodgers and Devontae, and then clips of Rodgers and Wilson. Almost identical, like the same plays they're running, almost identical from both sides. It's just crazy to see. What do you think? Do you think the Jets finally have like a lot of fantasy relevant players outside of Wilson too? And how do you think the Jets do this season?
So fantasy relevant, I don't know. Wide receiver wise, I mean they've got Mecole Hardman. I think he's sneaky. He could be a sneaky good like flex play. But who's Alan Lazard? Are we counting on Alan Lazard? I mean, he was good in Green Bay, but like he never put up consistent. I think it's Garrett Wilson's the only receiver on that team I really want, and man, that running back room is. I have no idea what's going to happen. Don't. I just don't know. They're probably going to ease Brees Hall in, since they, but yeah, I have no idea offensively. I think they're going to be a pretty good team. Um, but I think the thing is, what Rodgers are we getting? Like, is this like? I just feel they have to get off to a strong start because if they say they start out like 2-4 or something like that, I could easily see going off the rails with Rodgers. Rodgers started to blame people. Rodgers started yelling. I wouldn't even be surprised if Rodgers just retires mid-season if it's
Oh,
going
don't say
bad.
that. Don't say that.
No, I mean I don't think it's going to be like that. But if it goes bad, I can see that. I'm just interested too the leadership of that team with because I don't know who's on that team is going to tell Aaron Rodgers what to do.
That's kind of a good point. I mean, maybe Hackett's relationship with him is close like that, but I'm not. You saw that they waived Zonovan Knight today, right?
Yeah.
Today being August 28th, in case this goes out a little later. So I knew he was kind of the odd man out once Dalvin Cook signed. Michael Carter is going to stay there because of his third down prowess, and they're not going to get rid of Izzy after they drafted him this year. I'm so I don't know about the running back room either, man. Like personally, I was kind of out on Brees Hall this year anyway because of the ACL. It was a little bit more than the ACL. He had some other damage with ligament issues and a meniscus issue. And with Dalvin Cook coming in there, you got to figure that he went there because they're going to give him the ball a lot. I mean, he can say all he wants about a Super Bowl, but he wouldn't have signed there and for that much money if they weren't going to give him the ball quite a bit. So the question becomes like, who do you think that Dalvin Cook is like a workhorse there? Do you think Brees Hall is softened in there? Do you think they're running a lot of 21 personnel? Like, if you had to pick who gets the most touches in that running back room, who would be like the 1, 2, 3 there?
Ugh. I actually think it's probably going to even out and be pretty even between Cook and Brees. I would say the first month of the season, Cook's probably going to be a workhorse. They're probably just going to sprinkle Brees in. Obviously, Brees Hall is better than Alexander Madison. But I think early on it might be kind of like that, where they sprinkle Brees in, give Dalvin like a drive off every, kind of like that. That's the thing because I know Rodgers likes to have the ball in his hands, but I mean with both of those running backs, if they're healthy, after those two, I don't want anything to do with Michael Carter. I'm out on Michael Carter. He just teases you so much on the possibility, and I'm gonna be honest. I might have kept Knight over Michael Carter.
Oh, don't say that. I think the reason they kept Carter overnight was because Knight is kind of similar to Izzy running style wise. Knight's not that great as a pass protector. I think that's really the only reason Carter hasn't been cut yet. I love Michael Carter though, so it was disappointing though because last year he had a huge opportunity once Brees went down to kind of like solidify himself, and we saw how that went when Zonovan Knight ended up taking over. So that's tough. I think Cook is probably going to get the most touches, but hey, man, if Brees Hall can come back, if Brees Hall can do like Adrian Peterson post ACL and like run fucking over people, I would lose my mind. But I've seen some stuff in practice where I don't think that's going to be the case, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see if Hall's ready to come back at the end of the year. But I'm gonna go Cook number one there. But I wanted to get your opinion. So a few episodes ago, we talked about your boy Clayton Tune, and now he might actually be the starting quarterback for the Arizona
He's not my
Cardinals.
boy. Hey, that's your boy. That's your boy, not mine.
So the Cardinals cut Colt McCoy, which I feel like is long overdue. They traded.
Why did he still have a job all these years?
I don't know. I always thought he was horrible.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like in the same thing, realm as like Chase Daniel, like the veteran guy like knows an offense, but he's actually had to play games, unlike Chase Daniel. He's probably been playing like 2 or 3 games a year because of injury, and he's always bad, and he always comes at the worst possible time fantasy wise. I remember last year it was last year or 2 years ago, he killed DeAndre Hopkins' value in games. And well, anyway, this is probably this might be like the biggest tank job ever, right?
Oh, bro, that's where I'm like, because
they're just getting rid of people. Like
they got rid of Isaiah Simmons for a 7th.
Yeah, like what? First of all, they never used him right.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the hell they were doing, putting him at like
they
safety.
Tried to play in. He needs to, because I was watching the Giants game, and Dable pretty much was like, what do you want to do? And he was like, I want to rush the quarterback. And so he was like, all right, that's what you'll do. And I was like, what are the Cardinals doing with it? I mean, why did they
traded for your boy, the
Josh
former
Dobbs.
Jaguar?
Yeah, Josh Dobbs. I actually think he's like a decent quarterback, but what was the point of trading for him? Because I mean, it's not like Clayton Tune's the future,
right?
I mean, I hope for them he's not the future.
Yeah, and plus, if Colt McCoy is not that great, why would you even do that?
I mean, he's the perfect
He's the perfect tank quarterback.
Yeah, and they, from what I've been hearing rumors, they've secretly said they're going to shut Kyler down for the year, which probably makes sense. They're not going anywhere this year, so the only player you might want on the Cardinals fantasy-wise is James Conner.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning, and it sucks because I love Marquise Brown. I think that he showed a lot of potential last season before he got hurt, and I think that kind of sucks. I mean, Hopkins was out, so maybe who knows? But it showed that he could be an alpha. You know what I mean? Like it showed he could be a real number one. But like, do you think Kyler Murray is even back at the quarterback next year? Like, how bizarre would it be if he's the one who replaced, was it Josh Rosen, who was the number one pick? And then Murray replaced him, and now could Murray be replaced with another number one pick, Caleb Williams, maybe? I mean, do you think his future is, or do you think they try to trade out of that pick?
Oh no, I think they're keeping it regardless. Either get like Caleb? If they don't get Caleb, they're going to get like a king's ransom for him. They're going to get like what the 49ers gave up to move up, and I think there is talks too that they might actually get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. because they had those 2 first-round picks.
That'd be nice.
Based on what whatever the Texans do. But my question is, who trades for Kyler? Because there's all this like he doesn't, he plays Call of Duty too much. I think he's too skittish, honestly. I think he runs from the pocket way too much. He's the opposite of Russell Wilson. He runs past the line of scrimmage right away, where Russell Wilson will move in the pocket, run around to throw the ball deep, and Kyler just runs too quick, and his body hasn't, kept up the pounding. I just don't know who would trade for him. What teams do you think? You think McVay might?
McVay? I don't know.
No, because that's probably so.
In a division
too structured. Yeah, it's probably too structured. I'm trying to think where he could go. That's
the problem. Like, I don't know where he would go. You're like,
that's the thing too, because you can't just eat. Like, I mean, did he ever resign or something? Did they extend him?
Murray? Oh, I think he did at some point.
Yes, last year. Remember, because there's the talk, there's the wording in the contract that he had to watch so much film.
Yes, yep. And they were like, "Oh no, it's a joke," but then it really wasn't a joke.
Yeah. So I think I saw a video too where like DeAndre Hopkins pretty much told him, he was like, "Hey, you need to like be serious." And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty much told him he needs to like get his shit together.
Oh shit! I didn't see that. I don't. That's gonna be tough, man.
I'm trying to think where. I mean, I don't know where he could go.
I'm trying to think now. AFC, maybe Broncos. Maybe if Wilson doesn't do well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Raiders, maybe, but I kind of like that O'Connell kid if he to replace Garoppolo. He looked kind of good. I mean, worth
I
giving him a shot.
yeah. I mean, he was a good college quarterback, but I can't believe like some people are like talking him up now.
Oh no, yeah, I have to see it to believe
No.
it first. It's preseason's one thing. You gotta wait. I mean, I'm still trying to think. Panthers
You
already
know how
have.
people do about preseason.
Oh my god, it's my favorite time to trade in fantasy football leagues. I'll tell you that much. Speaking of stuff to take advantage of, JSN Jackson Smith, he broke his wrist, could be out for the beginning of the year. Who knows? What do you think ends up happening with him? Do you think because I've already said that I think he's going to be like the bust out of the Ohio State wide receivers between him, Wilson, and Olave. I think he's the bust. I don't want to see it come true with injuries, so we'll see how it plays out. How do you think? Do you think he comes back and finishes strong in that wide receiver room, or do you think he kind of takes a back seat now because of that injury?
I don't know. He was looking good. I think he's the perfect candidate, especially in redraft. I don't think he's going to really get going probably to like game 6 or 7. So especially if you have an IR spot and you can trade him and put him there, and have him for like the playoff stretch. I would definitely do that in Dynasty. Definitely, if someone is like freaking out, which I would hope no one would, but
we've seen crazier things.
Yeah, I mean, I think Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave is overall better, but I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he's still going to be very good, and Lockett probably has another year or two there, and then I guess it'd just be DK and him, but I don't really know what the Seahawks. They have a lot of weapons. Even though I'm not a big Charbonnet fan, he's looked good in preseason.
Yeah.
And with Kenneth Walker being hurt, there's so many weapons there. I just don't know how they're going to get everyone touches. So, I mean, it's a Pete Carroll team, so I think the running backs are going to definitely get their touches. So that means, DK is probably getting his touches. Then you're splitting them up between whatever tight end they throw out there, and then, Lockett and GSN when he comes back. So I just don't know if that offense can be that explosive because you're pretty much asking for like the Chiefs offense for all of those.
With Geno Smith at quarterback.
Yes, with Geno Smith. Although I think I like Geno last year, and I think, he's going to be good this year, but he's not Patrick Mahomes.
Right. I hope he does well, too. I feel like we might see, that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde come out in Geno this year. Who knows? Hopefully not. But do you think, because another rookie who is probably going to be, behind a couple of guys is my wide receiver one, Quentin Johnston. This year, this will be the last question before we kind of bounce because we're hitting our time here. Do you think JSN or QJ does better this season? We got Johnson behind Mike Williams, Keenan Allen.
I say QJ, Quentin Johnston. For one, I love Justin Herbert. I think he's better. And Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are going to miss some games. There's going to be some games where Quentin Johnston's probably be their number one guy. It looks like his route running's getting better. He's had some drops, but I mean, he's come back from that. And from what they said, they want Herbert to. I didn't realize Herbert had such low percentages throwing the ball down the field last year. There was a lot of dink and dunk, so they're like letting it loose. So that's what I like to hear. And letting it loose is probably more Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston than Keenan Allen. Because Keenan Allen's more the intermediate type guy. So, I see that. So I see him having the better year, but I think I would rather have JSN dynasty-wise.
You just broke my heart. I mean, you had me.
I know.
You had me, and then you broke my heart at the end.
I want to ask you. Hey, I know we're on time, but I want to ask you another question.
Okay. Sure.
Well, it's the only question I'm asking you. All right, so Twitter's been going crazy ever since he came out with Justyn Ross, with the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think people have really watched all of his college film because I know he had the injury. His freshman year, he was elite. I'll say that, But even the year after that, he struggled in the playoff game because T. Higgins got hurt when they played Ohio State early in that game. So it was pretty much just him. And against those Ohio State corners, he struggled to get separation and everything. So he's kind of done that. And I know he's kind of had a little bit with Kansas City. And some people are saying he's their wide receiver one. I don't believe that. I don't think they have a wide receiver one. And I think I'm happy for him to get on the field, but I don't see him having fantasy relevancy in the fact of being like a top 30 receiver ever.
So yeah, you're asking me if I think he's like a top 30 guy?
Yeah, or just what are your thoughts on him? I other than Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes has never like zeroed in on a wide receiver.
Yeah, listen, I think the wide receiver one there is, I mean, it's going to be Kelsey, obviously. As far as like Ross, I think it sucks, man, because people like draft these guys or like see these guys in college and then they get so hyped on like that one highlight reel or that 1 year and they're like, oh, this guy's going to be a stud. And then those guys don't develop. It happens all the time. It's happened to me with some guys I like, it happens. But I think Ross is going to be like an MVS kind of guy in that offense, if anything, like specific package. He's going to be a deep threat guy or something where the defense just kind of forgets about him kind of thing. And that's it. He's going to be purposely schemed open for stuff like an MVS was. I don't think he has like relevance. I think wide receiver wise, he's probably like 4 or 5 on that depth chart. I think the actual wide receiver one, like outside of Kelsey, is probably going to be like Sky Moore. I keep hearing a lot of great things about Moore. I kind of like the kid. He reminds me of you're going to like this. He reminds me a lot of Juju Smith. And that's kind of why I like him. I think he could be a really good number 2 wide receiver. But I don't think the Chiefs have that wide receiver one right now. So I wouldn't even touch Ross in dynasty or redraft at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like one league I just stashed him on Tatsy. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be a guy you ever see where like Mahomes throws in the ball like 8 times a game. And that's what that's what like people are kind of insinuating. And even with Tyreek, they never did that. Like consistently. He was just this big play guy that Mahomes would just chuck it deep.
Right. Like I'll root for Ross because he got hurt and all that stuff. I like to see guys have comebacks, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. Kind of got a good groove. It's like we didn't even miss a beat, bro. So this was nice.
Right back on the horse. Right back on the horse.
So for anybody who wasn't aware, at the little ticker below, we are now partnered with Sleeper app. Yes, Sleeper app, the one you play your fantasy football league on. Use the code FFLW for your first time deposit for Sleeper picks and squads. Sleeper will match that up to $100. Brandon, let them know where they can find you and if you have any projects coming out.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at HeyB3. And then for league winners, coming this season, I'll be doing, a Sleeper article, doing some props for Sleeper, doing some videos with Jesse from actually on League Winners, doing that weekly, previewing some games, saying some props, and just want to let everyone know, not only does Sleeper do props for the NFL, but they also do it for college football. I participated in some last week, so there's always that too. This coming week, there's going to be way more college football games, so get signed up with Sleeper and win some money.
I love that. And as always, I'm Thomas Christopher at ThomasCP_NFL. You can find my Jet stuff, JetsXFactor, GangGreenNation, and now the Jets Press. And of course, at the League Winners, where we're going to make you a league winner. All right. That's it for us. Y'all take care.